Hello. So today we're going to be looking at factoring the sum and difference of cubes. Quick review. Sum just means adding. Difference minus cubes. That means terms to the power of 3. We'll come back to this in just a second. Something I want to review with you first is perfect cubes. It's something we're going to need to be able to recognize. A cube, all it means is a term that is generated by multiplying the same number 3 times. So 8, for instance, is a perfect cube because 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. Alright? So, we could have another one. 27 is a perfect cube because 27 is 3 times 3 times 3. Alright? So this can be with a variable. So a cubed to be a perfect cube would be a times a times a. And we can even have any higher degree variable as long as the degree is divisible by 3. So for instance, b to the 9th power is a perfect cube because it's b cubed times b cubed times b cubed. Alright, so that's important for us today because similar to the difference of squares that we learned a couple lessons back, there's I guess kind of convenient formulas that we can use. Specifically, you're going to need these two formulas here, the sum of cubes and the difference of cubes. So give you a second, pause the video to go write those down. Pretty much we're going to be using this when we have sums and difference of cubes. Memorizing them is a bit of a pain. We could go look to derive them. They're derived by looking at the volume of cubes and adding a unknown or taking away an unknown cube. But you won't be needed to derive them. You will need to know the formulas. Depending on what your teacher chooses or your formula sheet, you might have these given to you, but it's always best to know it. So what we're going to use is like to do a couple examples with our sum and difference of cubes. So our first one here, we have a cubic term x, and we have a cubic term 216. Since we're looking at a cubed plus b cubed, we need to figure out what our a term is and our b term. So a is going to be the number that it times itself 3 times is going to be equal x squared or x cubed. So I'll just be x because x times x times x is x cubed. You can notate this with a cubic root. Alright, and now we need to find what our b term is. Alright, and then if we take the cubic root of 216, that'll be 6. Because 6 times 6 is 36. And 36 times 6 gives us 216. Alright, so we have our A, and we have our B, and we have a sum of cubic terms. So we're going to be plugging this into our formula. Go back and look. It's our sums formula. So A plus B. Oh, wrong one. Our A term was x. A plus B term was 6. B times A squared minus AB plus B squared. So we're going to have put in parentheses here. X is our A. It's A squared plus, oh, actually I believe that was a minus. Make sure we check. Yep, minus A, which is X, times B, 6, plus B squared. So plus B is 6, and we're squaring that. Alright, close our parentheses. And we can simplify this down to x plus 6 times x squared minus 6x plus 36. Okay, that's all we did. Recognize it as a sum of cubes. Find our formula, find our a value and our b value, plug in our a and b values, and simplify. This one's going to be a difference of cubes. I want you guys to give this a go at home. Give you a second to pause the video here, and I'll give you the results. Alright, hopefully everyone got a chance to give this a go. All we do is figure out what our a and our b are. Cubic root of a cubed is a, so our a value is going to be a. Cubic root of 64 is 4, so our b value is going to be 4. Plug in our a and b values and simplify to get the following. Alright, let's look at another one. So, the difference here, which you guys have seen with greatest common factors before, we notice 2 goes into 2c cubed and into 250. So, let's divide it out. So we bring out the 2, we're left with c cubed minus 125. And c cubed and 125 are both perfect cubes. We have difference of cubes, so we're going to have a cubed minus b cubed. Our a is going to be c, because our cubic root of c cubed is equal to c. Apologize a little bit for the handwriting there. And our b value is going to be 5, because the cubic root 125 is equal to 5. Alright. Now we take our a and our b, plug them in. So we have a minus here. So we're going to have a minus b, so c minus 5. Okay. And then we're going to have a squared, which is c squared, plus a times c, plus 5 squared, which would be 25. Alright. Check back to make sure we got the right symbols. Minus, plus, plus for minus cubes. So minus, plus, plus. So we're good to go. Alright. And then let you guys give this one a go. Let's try it out. Give you a second to pause the video. Just making sure. We all make errors, right? See this 2 we have pulled out? That's still got to be in our final answer. So we should have 2 times our c minus 5, c squared plus 5c plus 25. Otherwise, same thing. Alright. Give this one a go. Okay. And hopefully you got a chance to go over it. Pretty much. We're going to factor out that 4, which leaves us with r cubed and 27. Our a value is going to be that r, and our b value is going to be 3. So if we plug those values in, we get r plus 3 times r squared minus r times 3 plus 3 squared. All we're doing, finding our a and b values and then plugging them back into that formula. Alright, so the last question that we are going to practice is working with a little bit of that factoring by grouping we've done, but using cubic terms. All right, and then our last problem we're going to try here is going to be a little bit of factoring by grouping, except this time we'll be working with some cubic terms in there. So first things first, let's look and see if we have any greatest common factors in here. In this case, every term is divisible by 25, and every term has an x squared in it. So we're going to pull out 25x squared. We're left with 25x to the 7th divided by 25x squared is x to the 5th minus 100x to the 5th divided by 25x squared will give us 4x cubed plus 200x to the 4th divided by 25x squared will give us 8x squared minus 800 divided by x squared will give us 32. Ooh, no x, just 32. Ooh. Okay. Alright. Now we're looking to factor by groups. Let's look at our first two terms. So we still have our 25x squared on the outside. Big parentheses. It's in common between x to the 5th minus 4x cubed. It's that x cubed. We take out the x cubed. We're left with x squared minus 4 on the inside. If we factor out our next group, you can find that both of them have an 8. So we can pull out the 8. So we have plus 8 times x squared minus 4. Close our parentheses, close our big parentheses. Feel free to use brackets if you're more comfortable with that. Makes it a little bit easier to see. You're welcome to. So now, both of our terms on the inside here have an x squared minus 4. So we're going to factor that out. We still have our 25x squared on the outside. Big parentheses. We're factoring out x squared minus 4. We have left with x cubed plus 8. Close our parentheses. Now, since we're just multiplying by stuff in here, we do not need these parentheses anymore. There's no adding and subtracting in there anymore, so it doesn't really make a difference. Okay. Now, beforehand, we would have left this as is, but we have a difference of cubes. So we can work with that now. So we still have our 25x squared times x squared minus 4. Okay. And our difference of cubes is going to have our two terms. Let's find what our a and our b are. So our a is going to be equal to cube root of x to the 3rd power, which is x. And our b is going to be the cubic root of 8. It's going to be 2. Okay. We have a sum. So in here we're going to have a plus b, which is just our x plus 2. Alright, and then we're going to have a squared, which is x squared, minus our a times b, which would be 2x, and then we'll have plus our b squared, which will be 2 squared, or 4. Okay. So what this difference of sum and cubes gives us, it's a new tool that I'll add into our factoring by grouping, as well as just factoring differences in sums of cubes whenever they pop up. All we have to do, figure out what our A and B are, and then plug in our A and B values into our formulas. It's going to be useful if you can learn these. They'll be good for you. Best way to remember for me is with the plus, it is minus plus. And then with our minus, it is minus plus plus. The other ones will stay the same. It's going to be a squared, ab, and b squared. As long as you can remember the differences, shouldn't be too bad to remember them. And then, yet again, you may have them on a formula sheet or from your teacher. Have a great rest of your night.